All right, guys, it's Wednesday, going live here on IG, on Facebook. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about positive feedback loops and why these are important. Really, I was talking with my clients this morning about the positive feedback loop and how this matters in our long-term success, because our wiring it really matters when we're going to stick to something. Think about it in the lines of health and fitness. We're all almost always attacking things from a physical nature. We're trying to work out, we're trying to eat better, we're doing these physical things. But if our mind doesn't grow and change, and we're changing the way that we're thinking, then oftentimes something turns out to be not a long-term fix. We do a 30-day challenge, or we do a 75 hard, and we do these things that only last a small amount of time, and drastic change happens in that time, but a long-lasting transformation failed to happen. And oftentimes that happens because we're not changing the way that we think and things. We're just getting through the next challenge, or we're getting through the next routine or program. And so as we're going, there has to be just as much of a mental shift as a physical shift. So what are some ways that we actually go through a mental shift in this? And one of those ways is creating this positive feedback loop by looking at the end of our week. We can look back and look at the things that we did really well on. Now, is there a reality that we need to look at things that we didn't do well on? Of course there is. But in order to create the positive feedback loop that we need to rewire the way that we think, is we can look back on our week, we can be honest with ourselves, and find a positive thing or two or three and dwell on that thing. Sometimes it's hard for people to find the thing that they did well on. I talk with some of my clients, and they maybe struggle with, hey, I had a really bad week, or you had a really bad week in where you performed, what you said you're going to do better on, and then you dwell on the negative things, and those things take center stage in our mind, and it's hard then to create a change because you're just reacting from the negative, trying to adjust and rebound and react from that negative week that you had, where you didn't perform as well as you wanted, versus looking back and be like, maybe I didn't get the workouts in that I wanted, maybe I didn't eat the way that I intended to, but I responded this way to that. So there's a mental shift that happens. So look back and find the thing or two or three that you did really well on, and then you can take it a step further and be like, why did I do well on that? And dive deeper into these whys of why shift happened, why that shift happened, on why you did well. This creates that positive feedback loop then for you to continue to do well into the next week because of why you did well in the first place. And that gives then an empowerment, it builds a momentum to do better in everything that following week, because you have already proved that you did something well before. You proved to yourself that you can do something, you can follow through, that you do have a positive reaction to things, when oftentimes we can just focus on where we fell short and where we didn't do good and get down on ourselves and keep trying harder to accomplish the thing that we're trying so hard to accomplish. But when we're trying so hard and we only focus on the things that we fail on, everything always stays out of reach, and we keep clawing and clawing and clawing to try to get the thing that's out of reach. How do we ever get there? So we have to interrupt the negative feedback loop with the positive. Most of the things we have to stop thinking on negatively, and though we have to at some point review ourselves honestly, we can do that in a positive way once we create these positive feedback loops on how it is that we change, and organically it starts to change and happen, because what you choose to do then will be a offspring and will be a natural happening, natural reaction to how you're viewing who you are. So when you do this positively, you make the choices. If you view yourself, if you're trying to lose 100 pounds, and you view yourself as somebody who's already lost 100 pounds, even though you haven't lost it yet, your actions that you take during the day will reflect that of somebody who has already lost the 100 pounds. Do you see what I'm saying here? In order to lose 100 pounds, somebody who's losing 100 pounds is respecting their body. They're exercising, they're eating well, they're doing those things. And so your actions will reflect that person that you already are. All right? So create these positive feedback loops will help you so much as you're going on to create a long-term lifestyle transformation versus just behavioral modification in the short term. Nailed it. Let's go, you guys. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I hope this served you today. Short teaching today on this positive feedback loop. I hope you crush the rest of your day, and we will talk to you later.